Welcome to Pivot 05. In this lesson, we will just add a chart to the little pivot table that we finalized in Pivot 04. And then we will proceed to another version with a lot more weather data, covering the 12th of January, 2019 to the 10th of November, 2023, and show you much more sophisticated charts. Let's just get the little chart inserted here. First of all, we noted here we don't need the grand total for Mondays and Sundays added. So we will just remove this grand total. Click anywhere inside the table and go to Insert, Charts. The first one it suggests is the column chart, and we will accept that one. We have our first chart. This is a pivot chart. And the advantage with these is that they respond immediately to any changes you make to the pivot table. Let's say we go to the pivot table, and we actually add, say, Saturday. Then that will be immediately reflected in the chart. We will now proceed to a new version of this spreadsheet, with much more data. This is our existing data table, with just over 7,000 records. But we will now take the raw data from a weather station, covering almost 5 years, and copy that into the data table instead. We select all of the new records and copy. Go to the data table and place the cursor on the first record and paste as value. Because this is an Excel data table, all our formulas will automatically be copied by Excel to cover all the new rows. We now have over 84,000 records. Following this, we'll just make sure that all pivot tables are updated to see all the new information by refreshing their links. We go to Data, refresh all, and we are ready. Just before we start, let's just show you we have added 2 more fields in our data table to work with. Over on the right-hand side, we have a parameter called date, which we pick up from the time in column B, 11, over here, and then the day of the month, which picks up the day of the month from the date. This is handy if you want to compare a specific day in the same month over several years, because then you can't use the date. So these 2 are included now. Let's go through the pivot charts. Now we are ready with all the updated data to do practically any sort of comparisons that we want to make. Let's go ahead, for example, and throw in our temperature as a value. And it's not going to be counted. We have to set this to an average. And we will set the number format to 1 decimal point. Okay. Now, for example, go ahead and take the months. And we have average temperatures for the month for the whole period. Now we might want to put a filter here. And we can go on a specific year. For example, 2022, 2021. We can also disable multiple choice for years, in this case, in the filter. Take 2022, and we have new numbers. Now let's get some charts to work with, as we change the pivot table. So we just place the cursor inside the pivot table and then go to Insert. And let's go ahead and take a column chart this time as well, for starters. And let's zoom in a bit, so we can see better. Now, in this particular case, we see the average temperatures per month. Let's say that we want to see this per day instead. You can just click off the month, and pull down the date. And then you notice that when you use a date, Excel will automatically add parameters like years, quarters, and months. Not our definitions, but Excel's definition of months, which are abbreviated with 3 letters, in English. This means that we are able to expand with the plus button and immediately get temperatures per quarter, and we can expand that and get the temperatures per month for each quarter, and so forth. We'll close them again. You could also go ahead and set a filter for a date, in which case it's just a single date. Now remember, if we pick any particular date, there might not be any data, because we first need to disable the filter for years. And now in this case, we again get the additional parameters for quarters and for the months. Those we actually don't need, because we just want to see the date. So we take out, in this case, those years based on the date, down here, and the quarters, and the months. Here we might want to see the temperatures per hour. We take the full hours, from midnight until just before midnight. So from 00 hours to 01 hours and so forth, until 23 to 24, which is same as 00. So you can play around with these graphs in all sorts of ways. You can also change the chart type. We go to Design, and we want to change the chart type. Let's go ahead and say we want to see a line chart instead. And we now have an overview of the temperature every hour for a specific date. And we can pick any date. Pick one in the summertime, with somewhat higher temperatures. So there's no end to what you can do. But obviously these charts need to be decorated a bit. And we will now show you from start how you can make a custom-made chart. Like this one, which is a combo chart, where we include temperatures, wind and rainfall for a specific day, and let the charts show what the data is about and from when, with clear headings and descriptions. So all you need to look at is the presentable chart itself, and not the table. Here are hourly temperatures for the 10th of January, 2023. We will add wind, rain. Wind values are changed from count to average. Then select the new data in the pivot table and change number format to comma, with 1 decimal. Adjust the pivot header alignments to wrap text. Right-click Rain Chart Line and select. Change Series Chart Type. Select Column. And tick Secondary Axis. Right-click Rain Columns, and select Format Data Series. In Fill, change to a blue color. Click Wind Line, and tick Smoothed Line, in the bottom of the Formats window. Change the line color to a gray. Click the Legends window, and set Legends position to top. Right-click a gray filled button on the chart, and select Hide all filled buttons in chart. Make column C narrower. Go to Chart Rain Columns, right-click and select Add Data Labels. Go to Insert, Shapes. Select Rounded Rectangle. and drag over the chart. Then go to Shape Fill and select a light green color. Right-click on the middle of the rounded rectangle and select Center Back and Center Back again. Right-click the chart area and select Format Chart Area. Then, under Fill, click No Fill. Under Border, click No Line. Select the top handle of the chart area and drag it down a bit to make room for our coming labels and titles. In order to get the name of the day, we placed a formula in cell D8, which picks up the selected date and finds the name of the weekday in the lookup tables. Here. Now, in order to insert custom-made titles, we will use text boxes. Go to Insert, Text Box, and drag and draw the first text box. Select the edge. Then just copy it. Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, Ctrl-V. We now have 3 boxes. In order to make a manual title or label, you type inside the box. Type date, space. And move the box out of the way. In the second box, we will pick up the date, which we have to do by typing in the formula bar up here. This is equal to C8. To pick the date. In the last one we will pick up the name of the weekday. Equals D8. Now we have the first 3 labels. And we will just fiddle with them a little bit. Select all 3 of them. Make bold. And set the font size to 14. Now we move them down on the chart. And we adjust the individual lengths. See if we can get them to line up. Otherwise you can use the arrow keys on the keyboard while you have them selected, to move them a bit back and forth. Make this one a bit longer. And now, in order to get them to merge with the chart, we will format all 3 of them. Select all 3 again. Format Objects. No Fill. And no line. This is the beginning of the labels, and you will be able to continue making your own. And format them as you like. And by the end of the process, you will be able to get a formatted chart like this one. We wish you lots of luck with it. Twist the data cube.